Hey, welcome back to this channel. So in this video we'll be trying to solve the 8th Leetcode problem, that is string to integer, or basically ASCII to integers. Anyways, you will be given a string and you're supposed to convert that to an integer format, and you also have certain constraints for this, that is int max and int min, basically the constraints that an ASCII character would follow. And if it exceeds this, you are it'll automatically overflow. So before it can overflow, you're supposed to return int max or int min. All right, so here's the first example. If the input is 42, just return 42. Now if there's a huge amount of gap, then a number, just return the number part. So in this case it is minus 42. Here it is beginning with a number, but it's followed by some words. So you are supposed to return only the number part if it begins with numbers and are followed with words. Similarly, if it begins with certain words, just just output 0 as the answer, because this is not valid. It should always begin with a number or with some spaces. And in this case, this is going beyond our min int value. So our int min is basically minus 2 raised to 31. This number goes beyond that, so we are supposed to return min int as the answer. All right, this is min int, basically minus 2 raised to 31. So yeah, that's basically it. So now let's see how we can solve this. Okay, now how do we solve this? So this problem, as you guys know, it is known as Atoi. So Atoi basically means ASCII to integers, right? Because every string we'll be getting will be in the ASCII range, that is its min value and max value will be minus 2 raised to 31 and 2 raised to 31 minus 1 respectively, right? Okay, so how do we solve this? So let's say we have a number. Okay, let me just change my font. Okay, let's say we have a number whose variable is s as given by Leetcode. Let's say we have something like minus 42. All right, so this is kind of the worst case scenario, because we have some spaces in front and we have a minus symbol and then we have 42, right? Okay, so now what do we do in this? So first what we'll do is we will have a while loop. All right, so the first thing is we'll be having a while loop. So what will this while loop check? This while loop will check if there are any empty spaces within the string given to us. So as we all know, it'll be something like this, right? So while loop will always begin from the first index in this case. So let's say this minus is at the third index. All right, third. So it'll go to the first index. It will see that there is an empty space. Then we'll add the index by 1. Then it will go to the second index. There also it will see that there is an empty space. Then we'll add index plus 1. So now it will go to the minus symbol. So it is no longer empty, right? Okay. So after this while loop, we'll have two if statements. The first if statement will check if there is a positive sign or not, and the second if statement will check if there is a negative sign or not. So we'll have variables for this. We'll have p for positive, by default it's 0, and n for negative, by default also. Okay, this one by default is 1. Okay, so when it sees that there is a negative sign, this 1 will get multiplied by minus 1. All right, or basically we can just convert 1 to minus 1. So I'll say why in a second. We are doing this because at the end, when we'll get a final answer, we'll multiply that by n to check if it's a positive number or a negative number. Okay, so in this case we have n as minus 1, right? Because there is a minus symbol over here. So yeah, so now what will it do? Now it will go forward. Now it will go to the 4. So after we have these double if statements, we'll have our main while loop. So before that, we'll have to set up a thing known as an inventory. So our inventory will basically be a set. Okay, so let's note that down right here. We'll have a thing known as inventory, which will be a set of all the whole numbers up till 9. So I can just say set 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So what will we check in the loop? In the while loop, we will check if the number is in our inventory. Why are we checking that? Because in case we come across symbols like asterisk or percentage or any other symbols, we don't want to include that, right? So we'll first check if it's there in our set or not. So in this case, 4 is there in our set, right? 4 is there over here. So what we'll do is we'll have a variable called answer. At first, answer as usual will be equal to 0. So in every iteration of the while loop, we'll make a change to answer. We will do something like answer equals answer into 10 plus the integer of s index. So our index will like basically inform us which index we are. So we'll get the element, right? So in this case, we'll get the element of the s index. So for this case, let's say it's 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get the fourth element, that is 4. So we have to convert that to an int because we don't want any float values in this. So finally the answer will be equal to 4, right? Now answer will be equal to 4. So I can update the value over here, or here it will be equal to 4. So let me erase all this. Okay. Now on the next iteration, we'll do index plus equals 1. So in this case, it will go to 2 now. Similarly, answer equals answer into 10 plus the s index, actually the integer of s index. So I can just put int s index. Okay. All right. So now what will it be? It will be 40 plus 2, which will be equal to 42. And here you go, we have our answer. So now it will be, answer will be 42, right? Okay. So now what? Now at the end, we have to multiply it by n, because only multiplying it by n will allow us to know if it's a positive number or a negative number, okay? So in this case, we'll do 42 into n, which will be equal to 42 into minus 1, right? Because we came across a minus, and we'll get the answer as minus 42, which we will return to the user. And that's basically it. But there's also one more thing. Before returning minus 42 to the user, you are supposed to check if it's exceeding max int or min int, right? So in this case, max int is something like 2 raised to 31 minus 1, and min int is minus 2 raised to 31. All right, we have to first check if it's exceeding max int or going below min int, and only if it passes those two conditions should we return the answer. So yeah, that's basically it. That's how you solve this problem. Okay, let's code this whole thing out. So the first thing I need to do is to set up my max int and my min int variables. So I'll just put max int equals to 2 raised to 31 minus 1, and then min int, which will be equal to negative 2 raised to 31, right? Okay. Now we will set up our main variables, that is index and answer. So by default they'll be 0. Then we need n to check if it's a negative number or not, by default 1, and p to check if it's a positive number or not, by default 0. So the first thing you have to do is you have to check if there are empty spaces. So I can say something like while index is less than the length of s, because I don't want this to exceed the length, and s index, index equal to empty space. All right, so let me just cancel out the red mark. I don't know why it's coming. Okay, then we have to increase the index by 1 and we have to keep on going till we stop getting the empty spaces. Then we have to check if index is equal to plus or positive. So what I can do is I can just put if index is less than the length of s, and s index is equal to positive. Okay, now if it is, then what can I do? Then I can just do index plus equals 1, and I can put p equal to 1. I'll say why I'm doing this. So now we can do this exact same thing for negative numbers as well. So okay, this will be a minus in negative cases, and we can put n as -1, right, because we'll be multiplying by this at the end. So now what? Now there's one more step we have to do. Like, I won't do it now, I will explain this a bit more later. So now we'll come on to make our inventory. So our inventory will basically be a set of all the numbers, right? So from 0 to 9. Okay, so now here comes our main while loop. We have to check while index is less than the length of s, and s of index in inventory. All right, only then should we go through this. Then I can do answer equals answer into 10 plus the integer of the number basically. Okay, and then I can do index plus equals 1 because I want to keep on going forward. And then finally I can do answer equals, or I can just do the shorten operator, into n. So this will tell us if it's a negative number or not. Then if answer is less than 0, what can we do? We can return the max of the answer comma the minint. All right, now if it is bigger than 0, we can return the min of answer and maxint, right? Okay, so yeah, that's basically it. So let's see if this works. Now for this it should work. Okay, it works for this, but when I submit this, do you guys think it will work or not? I don't think it will work. I'll say why. Let me submit this and see what happens. And yeah, what happened here? What happened here is when a both plus and minus sign comes, we didn't make any condition for that, right? Because we like just said like it can either be plus or minus, but we like never thought about when both plus and minus comes. So what can we do here? We can put an extra condition saying if p equal to 1 and n is equal to -1. So this means that if there are both plus and minus symbols, then we can just return 0 as the answer, right? That's basically it. So like that's the main reason we had p in here. So let me submit this and it should work. Let's see. And there you go, it worked, but it is only 21%. I don't know why it's so slow. Let's submit this again and see what happens. And there you go, it's much faster now. So yeah, that's basically it. So that's how you solve this problem. Hopefully you guys understood. If you have any doubts, leave them in the comment section below. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.